Ho, 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 let's go, go, go. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any ladies or gentlemen watching right now, which I doubt there are because I know who you are and I know who I am. I am the Mighty Plantain and I am checking out Sierra Nevada's Snowpack for 2017. This is their winter beer pack. Now they've got their Pale Ale, Coffee Stout, Wintertide Ale, and Holiday Haze IPA. So, we're going to put them in this order. We're going to start with the Pale Ale, which is their flagship. And it's a little hoppy, but not too overwhelming. So I think that we can move on into the Wintertide Ale, which is going to be a little bit of a special taste. It's an ale brewed with spices. Now, TJ, regular viewer, you pointed out that the Wintertide Ale is actually similar to Sam Adams' Old Fezziwig. So I'm thinking that does belong in front of the Coffee Stout, which is a cold brewed coffee stout. And then we'll put the Holiday Haze, which is an IPA, last because of the higher IBUs. Those could wreck the palate for the other beers, so we'll put it last. So that's just my thought. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If you think the lineup is right, if you think it's wrong, hit me up in the comments and the email link down below. While I'm at it, make sure to hit me up down there with any feedback you have on the review and whether or not you agree or disagree with my assessment of any of these beers. That's where I'll discuss it with you. And in the comments or the email link, I love talking. Even if we disagree, we'll have a nice civil discussion about it. It won't degenerate into name calling or anything like that, because like everything to do with beers, everybody's taste is different and it's all subjective. This is just what I think. So, we're going to step off of the soapbox and get down to Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale, which they list as a handcrafted ale. Now, it is slightly hoppier than a lot of baseline pale ales, which is why I'm a little trepidatious about putting it up front in this assortment, but I'm thinking that's probably the right thing to do. It's a little hop forward, but it's not as hop forward as the Coffee Stout or the Wintertide Ale will be taste forward. So I don't think it'll interfere with the Wintertide Ale, which is what I'm going to have next. And I don't think the Wintertide will interfere with the Coffee Stout. But I do believe the Holiday Haze IPA is going to have enough IBUs that it belongs last because, you know, hoppy beers will wreck your palate and ruin them for the taste of other beers faster than even a strong stout, porter, etc. And wow, I didn't even get the full 12 ounces in there before putting a giant head on that, and I can smell the hops, so I'm thinking I might be in trouble already. The Pale Ale might have belonged right before Holiday Haze. It is very citrusy and piney, but again, citrus and pine are the two hop notes that I tend to pick up on more often than anything else. It's a nice light colored, slightly amber, slightly brown, slightly amber. I'll go with amber over brown. Slightly amber beer, mildly effervescent, plenty of bubbles coming up through. Got a decent head on it without trying too hard. And again, I'm smelling a lot of citrus and pine, which isn't unusual for me. Nice, light, and crisp mouthfeel. And then those citrus and pine notes coming through in the finish. It's got this slightly malty overtone, which combines with the body of the beer to make it not overwhelmingly hoppy, but it is very hoppy. I'm thinking I should have really put this right before the Holiday Haze. Because it is a pretty hoppy pale ale. I should have known that. I've had this from Sierra Nevada plenty of times before. But I was thinking maybe it was less hoppy than I remembered. Apparently not the case. So I will tell you this, I'm going to cleanse very heavily with water in between here. I'll probably take my sweet ass time waiting to do the Wintertide Ale. But quite a hoppy pale ale. Overall, I'm gonna hit it with a 3.5 out of 5 tonight. I'm not sure if I've ever rated the pale ale from Sierra Nevada higher or lower than that. I'm going to say this once. I'm going to try not to repeat myself on this video. On a 1 to 5 scale, a 2.5 is average, so a 3.5 is a fairly above average beer. It's pretty damn good. It's just not giving me anything to go wow about, or really blowing me away. But a solid offering for a pale ale. Not bad. More hoppy than I would have liked from a pale ale. I almost think anything this hoppy needs to be bumped up into an IPA category, but that's all subjective as well. An IPA is typically an India pale ale, which was given hops for the purposes of preserving the beer, not necessarily adding to the flavor. So a pale ale could be anything. And there's even APAs, American Pale Ales, etc., etc. But I'm not going to harp on that. Again, 3.5 out of 5. Slightly above average, light, crisp, and refreshing, hop-forward beer, which I'm picking up on citrus and pine notes, which isn't unusual for me. Burp. That's enough about this one. I'm going to finish it up, and we're going to move on to the Wintertide Ale. Alright, and next up is Wintertide Ale. Ale brewed with spices. I'm just going to see if there's more of a description here, because a longtime viewer, TJ, might have mentioned this before. I know I mentioned it when I did the Sam Adams Winter Pack this year, Variety Pack review. But longtime viewer TJ mentioned that this Wintertide Ale tastes a lot like Old Fezziwig from Sam Adams, and up to this point, Old Fezziwig's been pretty unique for me. I haven't come up with anything else that had this same taste. In times of old, no holiday feast was complete without a tankard of spiced ale served next to a roaring fire. Well, someday I'd like to start that tradition myself. Anyway, that's a tradition we'd like to see continue. Hey, tankard optional. Yes, tankards are very hard to come by these days. With our Wintertide Ale, brewed with rich caramel-like malts and a hint of coriander, cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. Wintertide is reminiscent of Mom's favorite holiday cookies. So let's just take a look here. Coriander, cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. The cinnamon and nutmeg match what we find in Old Fezziwig. They also use orange peel here in different quantities and combination than they do in the Sam Adams Winter Ale, I assume, because the taste is so much different. Ooh. It's definitely darker than the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I think it's actually darker than Old Fezziwig, too. Yeah, definitely darker. A nice reddish brown color to it. Slightly effervescent, got a good head on it, but I don't see any bubbles coming up through. It's actually slightly cloudy as well. So reddish amber, slightly cloudy, mildly effervescent brew. There is something different about the aroma. Not quite reminiscent of a root beer or old style cola as the Old Fezziwig is. But I can see where you think the taste is similar. It's different. Very different. Those spices are coming together really nicely. It might be the ginger between the two of them. It might be in higher proportion, so the taste actually comes forward. And that might be what sets them apart. The only time I've really had a ginger beer was when they overloaded it with ginger. But these two beers, this and the Old Fezziwig, not that I want to get too far into the comparison here when I'm talking about the Snowpack, because we're really just talking about these beers. But I did save out a Wintertide Ale and an Old Fezziwig to do a comparison, which is coming up. But definitely different. I don't know about the whole comparison to Old Fezziwig. I think I'm going to have to do the separate video and review the two of them back to back, especially with cleansing with a lot of water in between. Pardon. Got the yawns. I mean, I've been using about 6 to 8 ounces, maybe 4 to 8 ounces in between several very healthy sips to do the video for this 4-pack. Maybe I need to do a more in-depth review of the Wintertide plus the Old Fezziwig head-to-head. And I'll definitely be using more water to cleanse in between than I have today, because I agree, it's got a very similar distinctive taste. Right now, my impression of the Wintertide is that there's a little bit of heat to it on the back of the palate, like way back, and up into the sinus cavity. Pardon. Those yawns are coming on strong. But a little bit of heat way on the back of the palate, coming up through the sinus cavity, which is a little different. But other than that, it's got that different, unique combination of spices that is quite reminiscent of the Sam Adams Old Fezziwig. But enough about comparing the two, because like I said, I saved out one of each, and we'll do a full-on video of them later. If I ever stop yawning, that is. But between, just looking at this as a standalone, it is different. It is unique. Right now, I'm willing to put this at a 4 out of 5. Like I said, it's different, unique, it stands out. It doesn't seem like something I've had before. It is very reminiscent of the Old Fezziwig, but that gets extra points for being the first to create this flavor. Again, I'm not precluding or dismissing the idea that this could score higher overall than Old Fezziwig, and who knows, I might just rate the Wintertide differently on my second tasting when I do the head-to-head video, but pardon. Overall right now, very solid 4 out of 5. Now, I'm going to say this once during this video and not try not to repeat myself. These pending hiccups are going to make that difficult, though. But a 2.5 out of 5 is an average rating, so when we look at a 4 out of 5, that's pretty high above average. Not quite perfect. It's not just, pardon, between the hiccups and the yawns, this video ain't gonna go well. But yeah, 4 out of 5. It's somewhat above average, different and unique. But is it different, unique, and distinctive from Old Fezziwig? We'll find out when I review them side by side. For now, though, I'm going to finish it up, and we're going to move on to beer number 3 out of the Sierra Nevada Snowpack. Alright, so number 3 is Sierra Nevada's Coffee Stout. This is cold brewed coffee. Doesn't say much else, just cold brewed coffee. Stout. A cup of joe and a bold beer are both cold weather companions, so we blended them for the ultimate warmer. Our coffee stout is a fusion of dark roasted malts and rich cold brewed coffee for layers of bittersweet, fruity, dark chocolate, and caramel-like flavors. So the overall description is very similar to a lot of cold brewed coffee beers that I've been seeing lately. Lagers, stouts, even a cold brewed coffee IPA. The IPA was very interesting. I don't think I've posted the review of that yet. It was from Stone or Rogue, and it's coming up soon. Sorry folks, I am dealing with sleep deprivation since Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, and I am on, let's just say, this is not the third beer I've reviewed tonight. I've done a few before this 4-pack came up. So, cold brewed coffee stout from Sierra Nevada. This is very dark. You can't see through that at all. That is... I wanted to say it was black as midnight, but then when I look down towards the bottom of the glass, I see some light is coming through. It's got a decent head, very little effervescence. I don't see very many bubbles coming up to replenish that head. Hints of coffee, lots of chocolate, chocolate followed by coffee in the aroma. It's actually a medium heavy mouthfeel. It's lighter in mouthfeel than I would have expected. Very much coffee though. It's still sticking with me, coming up through and through the soft palate, out through the nose. Coffee, taste and aroma. Very, very, very coffee. In that sense, it's almost a one-trick pony. Matter of fact, I'd say it is a one-trick pony. All I'm getting is coffee, overwhelming coffee. All right, there's a bit of a roasted bitterness, a bit of a burnt flavor in some chocolate notes, but it is just overwhelmingly that bitter coffee flavor, which isn't a bad thing. It's just there's nothing really else to it. Roasted notes, toasty, burnt organic matter, followed by chocolate and then coffee. Ooh, pardon. I've had this before. A couple of different brews, but nothing on this one's really setting it apart. It's quite good. I mean, I'm liking it. It's just not blowing me away with any sort of uniqueness or different flavor. The hiccups are creeping up on me. I gotta get rid of these guys. Hang on. Right, I think the hiccups are gone. So I'm going to finish up this beer, and I'm going to move on to the fourth and final beer, the Holiday Haze IPA. Alright, last one up is Holiday Haze IPA. As the holiday season ramps up, we all get busy, so we're bringing you this all-new IPA, brand new this year apparently, as a reminder to slow down and appreciate the special time. Heavy with intense fruit-forward hop flavor, mild bitterness, and a smooth finish, this is the perfect beer for the lead up to the holidays. Let's all pause, relax, and snap out of that holiday haze. Alright, so I guess the only really important thing I needed to get out of that was Holiday Haze IPA, which is around the front label. But, hey, sometimes it's not a bad idea to read the whole label. That is really light compared to what I've been drinking, but ooh, it is hazy. It's hazy and cloudy. That's got a hell of a head on it. Ooh. Oh, that is very cloudy. It has a very pale lemonade yellow. It's very cloudy, and there's even possibly some chunks in there. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look through, right through here, there's some thicker actual chunks in there. So there's lots of particulates in this particular IPA. And chunks. Look, folks, I do not like solid matter floating in my beer. All them floaties. I have learned to deal with flocculent beers. I've learned to deal with a lot of, flecks floating in these. And very cloudy beers. But when those flecks start clumping together in chunks, it visually just turns me off. I mean, I know, intellectually, I know that the beer is probably pretty damn good. It's a Sierra Nevada IPA, no problem. It's hazy. It's got flecks in it, even chunks. And chunks are not a bad thing. They are particulate matter produced by primarily hops and hop flakes. But at the same time, it just turns me off. I'm trying to get over it, but when I see chunks in there, it turns me right off and makes me go bleh. That being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that the beer itself is a bad beer or that it tastes bad. It just is visually off-putting to me. I don't like chunks in my beer. Flecks, flocks, cloudiness, I've started to learn to like those, but actual chunks floating in there, right out. So, off on my little tirade, I'm done with that. Beer itself is quite hoppy. There's got to be earthy notes because there's almost a metallic tang to it. It's like a metallic tang but tempered with citrus. Ooh, quite hoppy. Hazily hoppy. And I say that because there's like this smoky quality about it. It's got a nice medium mouthfeel. I'm not feeling any of the chunks rolling off my tongue as I'm swallowing them, so they're just visually there. The consistency of the beer is very nice. Like I said, nice medium mouthfeel. Not getting any lingering chunks. I'm not having to chew it or anything like that. Just that visual component turns me off. But the taste is pretty damn good. Again, I'm getting that metallic taste. It's not an unpleasant metallic taste, but I'm thinking it's the earthy notes from whatever hops were used here just expressing themselves to me as a metallic taste, because there is obviously no metal here. It's just the glass bottle. I'm getting some heavy hints of pine off of the aroma, or bouquet, if you will, now. And still just fading that metallic medium mouthfeel beer. It's almost like so here's the thing. I want to say it's almost like sticking your tongue on a 9-volt battery, but a a lot of people are going to have a negative association with that. This is actually pretty positive. It's good. It's good beer. It's electric. It's electric and alkaline all at the same time. Maybe slightly acidic. I don't know what I'm trying to describe, but it is. It's got a metallic taste, which I think it's just the earthy notes from the hops coming through. Hints of pine. Nice medium mouthfeel. The appearance is turning me right off. So I think balancing those out, I've got to hit it with a 3 out of 5. I really want to go with a 3.5, but I think it's the appearance and that metallic tang that's coming through really heavily that's making it draw back to a 3 for me. It's just slightly above average overall. Yeah, but it is unique. I'm going to give it the 3.5. I'm going to give it the 3.5 because maybe it's not 100% unique, but in my experience, there aren't very many beers that convey this particular flavor profile. In my recent experience, there are none. There's a little tickling at the back of my brain saying that I have had a beer like this before, but I can't remember specifically how long ago or what it was. So, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. Overall, pretty decent set of winners from the Sierra Nevada Snowpack this year. But that's just what I have to say. Hit me up down in the comments and the email link down below if you agree or even if you disagree. Still want to hear from you because I'd love to discuss the beer with you. While you're down there, make sure to click like and share to get more attention for my channel, and make sure to subscribe so you get a notification every time I post a new video. Plus, it feeds my need for attention as well. Till next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Cheers and happy holidays.